My dear friends, there comes a moment in life when we look in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back at us. When did the light in your eyes begin to dim? When did your shoulders start carrying the weight of 1,000 disappointments? When did you begin to believe that God had forgotten you in this vast universe? The truth that I'm about to share with you today has the power to transform your life completely, to remind you of who you truly are before the world told you who you should be. In this journey of reconnection and rediscovery, I will walk you through the 10 divine truths that will help you remember your essence, your dignity, and the woman you were created to be. These aren't just words, they are keys that will unlock the prison of forgetfulness where you've been living far too long. 1. You were never lost to Him. Even when you wandered away, even when you stumbled and fell to your knees in the darkness, even when your faith wavered like a flame in the wind, God never took His eyes off you, not for a single moment. The universe continued to hold you, even when you felt you were falling. My friends, Pope Francis reminds us that God continues to stand at the door, not with demands, but with open arms. Do you understand the profound meaning behind these words? It means you were never too far gone. The distance you felt was never in His heart, it was in yours. The pain you experienced when you felt abandoned wasn't because God walked away. It was because somewhere along your journey, you stopped believing you were worthy of being found. You began to identify with your wounds rather than with your sacred essence. When a child gets lost in a crowd, the parent never stops searching. Their eyes scan desperately through the masses. Their heart pounds with urgency, their whole being focused on finding their beloved. This is how God has been with you, searching, calling, waiting, while you convinced yourself you weren't worth finding. What would happen if, just for today, you allowed yourself to believe that you have never been lost to Him, that in your darkest moments, when you felt most alone, you were being held more closely than ever before? Brothers and sisters, may the peace of God be with you. If you're enjoying this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your opinion is sacred to me, as it helps me continue this mission of spreading light, faith, and hope. 2. You're not a mistake. You're a miracle in process. The universe doesn't make mistakes. Every star, every planet, every atom is precisely where it needs to be. And you, my dear friend, are no exception to this cosmic perfection. The pain that has scarred your heart, the errors that haunt your sleep, the silences that have become your closest companions, they don't define you. Pope Francis teaches us that mercy is greater than any guilt, and that life isn't a sequence of failures, but a path of return to grace. When the sculptor chips away at marble, it might look like destruction to the untrained eye. But what's really happening is creation, the revealing of beauty that was always there, waiting beneath the surface. Your challenges, your sufferings, your perceived mistakes, they are the chisel in the hands of the divine sculptor, revealing the masterpiece that you truly are. You see, the universe operates through contrast. We can't know light without darkness, joy without sorrow, strength without weakness. Your mistakes haven't ruined you. They've refined you. Your pain hasn't destroyed you. It's deepened your capacity for compassion. Your challenges haven't defeated you. They've revealed strengths you never knew you possessed. I once knew a woman named Margaret, who in the 1960s lost everything: her husband to illness, her home to debt, her confidence to grief. She told me, "For years, I believed God had made a mistake with my life, that I was some cosmic error He had abandoned." With tears streaming down her weathered face, she continued, "But one day, while watching the sun rise after a sleepless night of despair, I realized the darkest moments of my life weren't punishment. They were preparation. Not a mistake, but a miracle in the making." Margaret rebuilt her life not despite her suffering, but because of what her suffering taught her about her own resilience. What if your perceived failures are not evidence of your unworthiness, but stepping stones on your path to becoming whole? What if everything that has happened to you, yes, everything, has been preparing you for a purpose greater than you can imagine? 3. Your identity is greater than your history. My dear friends, you are infinitely more than what others have said about you. You transcend the hurts that have tried to define you. Your essence cannot be contained by the labels this world has tried to stick upon your soul. Pope Francis speaks of dignity as a gift that no one can erase. These aren't empty words. They are a profound truth about your very being. You are not what happened to you. You are not what was done to you. You are what God dreamed when He created you, unique and irreplaceable in this vast universe. In Psalm 139 and 13-14, we read, 4. You created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. This isn't poetic exaggeration. It's the reality of your existence. Before you were born, before you took your first breath, before you made your first mistake or experienced your first disappointment, you were fearfully and wonderfully made. That is your true identity. Your history may contain chapters of pain, betrayal, or regret, but your identity was established long before those chapters were written, and it remains intact regardless of what storylines have unfolded in your life. The universe recognizes who you truly are, even when you've forgotten. When you find yourself defined by your past, remember this: your history informs you, but it doesn't define you. Your wounds mark you, but they don't make you. Your mistakes teach you, but they don't determine your worth. You are a soul with a body, not a body with a soul, and that eternal soul carries within it a dignity that nothing and no one can take away. 4. The silence you felt was not abandonment. Perhaps there have been times in your life when your prayers seemed to echo in an empty room, when your tears fell without comfort, when your questions went unanswered. The silence was deafening, and in that silence, you may have concluded that God had abandoned you. But my friends, what if that silence wasn't abandonment at all? Pope Francis reminds us that God's silence is often the space where He prepares us to hear our own voice again. In the apparent absence, something profound was happening, something necessary for your growth. The universe operates through cycles, day and night, winter and spring, sound and silence. Just as the seed must endure the darkness of soil before it can reach towards sunlight, there are seasons in our spiritual lives when silence is necessary for deeper growth. Think about how a mother teaches her child to walk. At first, she holds the little one's hands tightly, but eventually, she must step back, creating space, not because she's abandoning her child, but because she knows that only in that space can the child discover their own balance, their own strength, their own capability. The mother hasn't gone anywhere. She's simply allowing transformation to occur. The silence you interpreted as God's absence was actually sacred space, room for you to discover your own voice, your own strength, your own faith that doesn't depend on constant reassurance. It wasn't punishment. It was profound trust in your capacity to grow. 5. You stopped looking at yourself with God's eyes. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and truly loved what you saw? Not just your physical appearance, but the entirety of who you are. Your strengths and weaknesses, your gifts and struggles, your light and shadow. The words of Pope Francis ring true. God never forgot who you are. It was you who forgot to recognize yourself in the mirror with tenderness. The universe still sees your perfection, even when all you can see are your flaws. In the book of Isaiah 43:4, God says, "You are precious in my eyes and honored, and I love you." This isn't something that changes based on your accomplishments or failures. It's a constant, unshakable truth about your value. When God looks at you, He doesn't see your mistakes magnified. He sees your heart, your intentions, your true essence. The tragedy is not that God has forgotten you. It's that you have forgotten to see yourself through His eyes of unconditional love. You've traded divine vision for the critical gaze of society, or worse, for your own harsh self-judgment. The next time you stand before a mirror, try this. Look beyond the surface. Look past the features you criticize and the flaws you fixate on. Look into your own eyes and whisper, I am seeing myself as God sees me, complete, worthy, and necessary to this world. The universe is waiting for you to reclaim this vision of yourself. Brothers and sisters, may the peace of God be with you. If you're enjoying this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your opinion is sacred to me, as it helps me continue this mission of spreading light, faith, and hope. 6. He still knows your name. In a world that reduces people to numbers, statistics, likes, and followers, a world that commodifies human beings and measures worth by productivity, there is something revolutionary about being truly known, about being called by name, about being seen not as what you can provide, but who you are. Pope Francis said, "For God none of us is a number, each is a face, a countenance, a heart. You have never been forgotten. You are unforgettable." The universe holds the memory of your true self, even when you've lost sight of it. When Jesus met the Samaritan woman at the well in John 4, he knew everything about her, her past, her pain, her shame, and still engaged with her as a person of dignified worth. This same God knows everything about you, the beautiful and the broken parts, and still calls you by name with tenderness. Your name is written on the palm of his hand, Isaiah 49:16. Not your achievements, not your social status, not your bank, account, or your appearance or your usefulness to others. Just your name, your essence, who you truly are. In the vastness of this universe with its billions of stars and countless galaxies, you might feel insignificant, but the Creator who set each star in its place knows your name, calls you beloved, recognizes your voice, treasures your uniqueness. There is no need to make yourself memorable to one who has never forgotten you. 7. The door was never closed. There may be a door in your heart that you believe was locked from the outside, keeping you from returning to grace, to worthiness, to belonging. You've stood outside that door, perhaps for years, convinced that what lies beyond it is no longer available to you. But my dear friends, Pope Francis insists, God doesn't close his heart. We are the ones who lock ours out of fear, shame, or weariness. The door you thought was barred against you has been open all along. The universe has been patiently waiting for you to realize this truth. In Revelation 3:20 we read, "Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and they with me." Notice who is doing the knocking, not you begging to be let back in, but God himself requesting entrance into the spaces you have closed off. It's time to open that door again, slowly, without rushing, but to open it nonetheless, to allow divine love to flow back into the chambers of your heart that have been sealed off by disappointment, betrayal, or shame. The light has been waiting to illuminate those darkened rooms. Remember, it's not about being perfect enough to deserve an open door. The door is open precisely because you don't have to deserve it. Grace, by its very nature, is unearned. The universe operates not by transaction, but by transformation, not by worthiness, but by willingness. 8. Who you were is still alive inside you. The strong, sensitive, luminous woman you once were. Before life's disappointments dimmed your light, before other people's opinions made you shrink, before you started to believe you were too much or not enough, she still lives within you. The universe preserves our true essence, even when it's buried beneath layers of forgetting. Pope Francis believes in daily rebirth. You don't need to start from zero. You need to remember who you were before you forgot yourself, before you traded authenticity for acceptance, before you silenced your voice to keep peace, before you diminished your light to make others comfortable. In the parable of the prodigal son, Luke 15:11-32, when the son returns home in shame, his father doesn't require him to become someone new. He celebrates because his son has remembered who he truly is and where he belongs. The son didn't have to reinvent himself. He had to return to himself. The qualities you admire in others, courage, compassion, creativity, resilience, are not foreign to you. They are reminders of what already lives within you, aspects of yourself you've temporarily forgotten. The universe uses others to mirror back to us our own forgotten potential. What would happen if you allowed yourself to remember? If you quieted the noise of shoulds and supposed tos long enough to hear the voice of your authentic self, still, whispering beneath it all? That voice hasn't been silenced. It's just been waiting for you to listen again. 9. Asking for forgiveness isn't weakness, it's power. In a world that equates vulnerability with weakness, there's something countercultural about the humility required to ask for forgiveness. We mistakenly believe that admitting wrong diminishes us, that acknowledging our failures makes us less worthy of respect. But Pope Francis teaches that the heart that has the courage to bow down is the most elevated in God's eyes. You haven't lost your strength. You've just forgotten how to wield it with gentleness. The universe rewards not those who never fall, but those who rise again with wisdom gleaned from the fall. True power isn't found in perfection or in the pretense of having it all together. It's found in the courage to be fully human, flawed, learning, growing, sometimes failing, always becoming. There is more strength in acknowledging your mistakes than in defending them, more dignity in seeking reconciliation than in building walls of justification. In Matthew 5:23-24, Jesus says, "If you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift." This isn't about shame or punishment. It's about the freedom that comes from living in right relationship, unencumbered by the heavy chains of unresolved conflict. Asking for forgiveness requires strength, the strength to put relationship above ego, reconciliation above being right, love above pride. And that, my friends, is power in its most authentic form. The universe responds to this kind of power because it aligns with the fundamental truth of our interconnectedness. Fatra. 10. God waited not to judge you, but to restore you. Perhaps the most beautiful truth of all is this: God's patience isn't punitive, it's restorative. He hasn't been waiting with a list of your failures, ready to remind you of all the ways you've fallen short. He's been waiting to welcome you, renew you, and return you to yourself. The universe operates not through condemnation, but through redemption. Pope Francis speaks of a God who is patient, gentle, persistent. He hasn't grown tired of you. Perhaps it's time for you to love yourself again with that same tenderness. To extend to yourself the mercy you would offer without hesitation to a friend. To speak to yourself with the compassion you would show to a child learning to walk who falls again and again but is never berated for the falling. In Lamentations 3:22-23, we read, "Because of the Lord's great love we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." Every day offers a fresh beginning, not because yesterday's mistakes didn't matter, but because God's capacity to redeem them is greater than their power to define you. The waiting wasn't punishment, it was preparation, not for judgment, but for homecoming. The universe has been preparing a place for your return all along, ensuring that when you were ready to remember who you are, everything necessary for your restoration would be in place. I'm so happy to have you here with me. If this message is touching your heart and you're still here with me, type 2 in the comments. That way, I'll know you're walking this path of faith, seeking growth, reflection, and wisdom, as Pope Francis taught us. Have you ever felt that God had forgotten you, only to discover later that you were the one who had forgotten your true identity? I'd love to hear your experience in the comments below. My dear friends, as we come to the close of this sacred time together, remember that the universe conspires in your favor. God didn't forget you. You just temporarily forgot who you truly are. A beloved daughter, a woman of purpose, a soul of immeasurable worth. The pain you've carried, the doubts that have plagued you, the sense of abandonment that has coloured your days. These were never the final word on your life. They were chapters, not the conclusion. Passages, not the destination. The journey continues, and it leads toward remembrance, toward wholeness, toward the reclaiming of your divine identity. By embracing these divine truths we've explored together, you open yourself not only to greater health, balance, and happiness in your earthly life, but also to a strengthened soul, inner independence, and a deeper connection to God. This brings a fulfillment that the world, with all its temporary pleasures and shallow promises, can never offer. As you move forward from this moment, carry these truths not as concepts to be intellectually understood, but as seeds planted deep in the soil of your heart. Water them with trust, nurture them with patience. Watch as they grow into a garden of renewed faith and reclaimed identity. And please, share this message with someone who needs to hear that they haven't been forgotten. Someone who needs to be reminded of who they truly are. Someone whose light has dimmed and needs the gentle reminder that darkness is never permanent. When the universe conspires to restore what was lost, may God bless you. Type Amen in the comments so I know you stayed with me until the end. Subscribe now and turn on the notification bell. That way you'll never miss a new heart-touching message. I'll see you in the next video.